Lease options, are they really a no money down strategy? Is it possible to acquire a property and put no money into it and control it using a lease option? When it comes to a lease option, essentially what you're doing is controlling a property rather than owning it. So you still can benefit from it and you have the right to be able to purchase it at some point in the future. So your lease part is your rental agreement that you have on that property, and the option part is your right to buy at some point in the future. So what that means is that actually you're not owning the property at this stage, but you've got the right to own it at some point in the future. But the amount of money that you pay to get into the deal might be minimum. And in fact, there's many deals we've done which we've only put £1 down to be able to make that deal legal. Now, so strictly speaking, is that no money down? Well, not really. You're putting £1 down. So every deal have we done, has that meant that we've only put £1 down? No, absolutely not. There are some cases and some circumstances where it warrants putting a lot more money down into that deal in order to get that deal, really because of the amount of money that we might make on the other end. So for instance, let's say it was a property that, for example, we were going to renovate and then sell on. So it may be that the owner wants more than £1 from us. It wants more than that simple commitment of just £1 in order to make that deal something that's viable for them and viable for us. So let's say, for example, in that case, we've put £5,000 down. Now it's not no money down we've put down, but we might be making £50,000 from that transaction. However, the basic principle option agreement means that you can do this with very little money because it's only £1 that you need to put down to make that contract legal. Effectively, it's the consideration. Now, here's a little tip for you. In order to make a contract legal, you can in fact use a peppercorn, but the reality is most listers, they're not going to accept a peppercorn. In fact, I don't think any will. If you do know of any, make sure you message me because I'd love to use them. Often people get obsessed with doing these type of deals by putting no money down or saying I bought the property for no money. However, I think what's really important is thinking about how much money you potentially can make from that particular deal, what profit you're going to be able to generate. So for example, if you're putting £10,000 down, but you're making £100,000 in terms of return, that return is much more viable than being super pleased by being able to do a deal for £1 and you're going to make maybe £5,000 from that. So it's not necessarily how much money you're putting down, it's what return are you going to make for the money that you're putting down, the time and effort and energy you're going to put in. So let me give you an example of a deal we did a number of years ago. This was a property where it was about to get repossessed and the value of the property probably is about £70,000 at that time. So, and there was £65,000 of debt on the property, including the arrears. So we agreed to take on the property via an option agreement and to be able to purchase it at some point in the future, i.e. within 10 years was our contractual time. And we paid £1 down to make that contract legal. We restructured the debt to get the lender off our back. And then effectively we just let the property to a family. So in essence, at that moment in time, we made no money really from doing that particular deal. There's a little bit of tidying up to do on the property, which we did ourselves, but then the rental profit each month is about £250. That means over a year, typically we were making about £3,000. Some of these numbers I'm simplifying a little bit really to be able to make the point of how this works. So that £3,000, if we have the property for 10 years, that's £30,000 profit we've made just from the rent during the time that we've had that property. So £30,000 profit from the rental side, but then also the property's gone up in value over time. So in 10 years time, when we come to sell that property, the property is now doubled in value. The property is worth £130,000. So the equity profit that we've created is £65,000 profit because there's only £65,000 that was owed on the option agreement, i.e. when we exercise the option, we only need to pay £65,000, but the property is now worth £130,000. The two together means we have £65,000 profit. When we add that in with the rental profit we made of £30,000 over the 10 years, effectively the two together has made us in the region of £95,000 from our £1 investment. So you tell me, is it possible to buy property no money down? Hey, if you're enjoying these Saj daily videos, then what I'd like you to do is click on my face over here to subscribe to the channel and also click on the bell in order to get the notifications when these videos are being released. Then what to do next is click on this video here and I'll see you over here on this video next.